Yeah. Oh, man. We're back. We got another week. I'm excited. This is back-to-back weeks that we've done.
2 in a row, baby. We're back.
We're back. Having such a good time. Yeah. I'm on a heater right now. I've won back-to-back weeks, baby. I am not in last place.
Did you go 2-0 last week?
I went 2-0. Yeah, I beat the league median.
You know,
so I'm feeling pretty good.
There is a problem, though.
Headed to the playoffs.
Your team, as hot as they've been lately, your team is cooling off for this week because everyone went on fucking vacation to Malibu. They're gone. God.
Yeah, it's brutal. This week is going to be really brutal. We'll talk about the matchup.
I really need you to win this week, too. I need you to keep those scrappy little piranhas trying to take my last playoff spot and keep them down. And you're just happy.
It's not my fault. It's the NFL's
it's not my fault.
It's the NFL's fault. It's AWS's fault. You know, I heard on the footballers, they talked about it and how they see like commercials for AWS and how they put in trillions of combinations to create the best schedule. Dog shit. It's been dog shit this year.
Well, in fairness, one thing that AWS did not predict is Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles, because that's been probably at least half of the primetime games being shit. Otherwise, that team would be fun to watch. Jets with Rodgers would be.
Announce though, like that they could like flex games. So if there's like a better matchup, they can like move it into like primetime or something like that. I thought they made a rule about that, but
Monday Night Football for the first year ever has the ability to flex. They can flex the Monday Night Football games, which is, if you think about it, pretty frustrating and difficult if you're a fan. So let's say, like every year, I like to try and go to a new stadium and check it out. So like this year, me and Jackie, we went to Buffalo. Well, if you buy tickets, you get hotels and tickets for a Sunday game, and then you plan to leave and come back Monday morning or something. And then all of a sudden that game is flexed to Monday night and you don't have hotel and you don't have tickets. You're just fucked. Like, how does that work? I think they have to flex it in advance enough time, but still that'd make it kind of risky to pick a good game to go to on a Sunday. Like,
agreed.
But
well, we got a little bit to talk about this week. Surprisingly, trades were a little bit quiet, but we'll go into trades here in a little bit. And
trade deadline too.
Yeah, it's just weird. I think everybody, that is ready for the playoffs, is kind of ready for the playoffs. Those trades already happened, but we'll go over a couple trades. Then we'll go down into our weekly matchups. I noticed the median is really, really low this week. So we'll see what you need to do. It's even lower in Dynasty, which is crazy.
You're a contributing factor to that, Hoppy, and we appreciate it. So,
all right, but we do have a little surprise for everybody. We have another league mate here with us. Let's bring him in. We got our friends, Justin Wald. Give it up for Justin. Glad to have you on the show, man. Glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Did you call him friends? Is he like multiple personality or something?
Yes.
I have two versions, sober me and drunk me.
Okay. So we're going to start sober and work our way to drunk through the podcast, right?
Well, I mean, I got a little too drunk last night, so.
So we might be going from drunk to sober as the podcast goes on.
It's Justin and Ronnie. Those are the two personalities.
You're only here for the zip line, aren't you?
I don't know what you're talking about. A lot of bad stuff going on back home.
Me and Justin actually go head to head this week. Not really going to be much of a matchup. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But should we kind of get into some trades here? Is that what we want to do, boys?
Yeah, I think we should do trades. And then before we jump into matchups, we can kind of talk a little bit about standings and, the battle for first, which I haven't really looked at because it's not my battle, the battle for making the playoffs, And then Hoppy, we can talk about your big battle too, the battle for avoiding dead last. So let's do that after the trades.
All right, let's move into some trades here. Hit that button. Again, didn't have a ton of trades. The first one here, between Kirill and everyone's least favorite league villain, Dave. Dave traded Rashee Rice and received Drake London. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on this.
The funny thing is we had so few trades that I think we already covered this one last week, but last week we were covering like 2 months of trades. So
yeah,
figured we'd back it up a little bit here. I'm getting a call from Texas Roadhouse. That's odd. But maybe I get a free bloomin' onion or whatever they got there.
I was thinking your dinner reservations tonight.
So we got none. So when this trade first went down, I thought, and we're only 1 week into it, so not trying to be too reactive here, but I was like, oh, damn, like this is a good trade for Dave. He got Drake London and has obviously Rice is on the Chiefs and he has Pat Mahomes. That's the advantage for Rice. I don't think anyone thinks Rice is a better player than Drake London, but Drake London has Arthur Smith and he's got whatever quarterback you've got. I mean, Justin, I know you're a big Ritter fan, but between Ritter, Hoppy's roommate from college, Heineke, you've got those two slinging the rock to you. So you kind of just feel like Drake London should be the safer option. Rice has more of that upside. Well, we saw that upside last week when Rice, had over 20 fantasy points, ripped that 40-yard touchdown. And I would say now when you look at this, you'd probably rather just roll with the upside of Rice than the, I guess, maybe better floor of Drake London. So, yeah, looks to be good for Kirill 1 week in. What do you think, Justin?
When I saw it, I thought it was pretty even. I like Drake London as a player, but I hate his situation that he's in because I'm not a Ritter fan, contrary to what Mike says. Ritter sucks. The only reason I traded for him was because I had Heineke too. But Arthur Smith is finally listening to fantasy people and using Bijan, which means they're just going to give him the ball 30 times a game.
Tic-tac.
Drugs. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard to trust anybody that's a receiver on the Chiefs, but you kind of saw that like Rice's production is going up and up and up, and you're just kind of waiting for that breakout game. And Kirill's wide receiver room is so loaded anyway that get rid of a guy for an upside and Rashee Rice for your flex spot. I feel like, yeah.
Kirill traded Devon Achane and Justin Jefferson to get CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown. And he get Achane and Jefferson, since he traded those two, have scored 1 fantasy point combined. The other guys have scored much more.
What's wild about that is,
everything.
If somebody was like, oh, you traded Justin Jefferson and Devon Achane and got these guys, but he traded them when they were both injured.
Yes.
And it's still, I was like, every year Kirill pulls off these trades, and I'm like, how?
Yeah, I've never really understood that either. In regards to this trade specifically, my initial thought was, yeah, pretty even. But like, I think Drake London's a much more talented player than Rashee Rice. There's an argument to be made either way because Rashee Rice has actually looked good, but that could be Arthur Smith utilization. There's like a bunch of things, but really what it comes down to me in this trade is the quarterback. You're basically trading for the upside of Patrick Mahomes actually throwing the ball to your receiver, or Desmond Ritter's, floppy arm flailing, whatever you want to actually call his throwing motion. It's not good. And so I'd much rather pair up with a Hall of Fame quarterback than a guy that's probably not going to be in the league next year or 2 years from now. So,
yeah, when he made this trade, Rice's snap share was down for the first time, I think, all season. Justin Watson just had this big game, but yeah, it worked out well. Rice, I'll say this because I got him in Dynasty. I love Rashee Rice. I was trying to trade for Rice last week too with Dave. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's got a drop issue. He had 2 drops last week too. So
Well, the whole team had a drop issue.
it's true. I mean, it makes him look better when everyone else around him shares the same weakness, but none of the guys have the same upside. So that's good. But yeah. Enough about
Well,
that trade we covered last
trade.
week, too.
Let's talk about another trade here. We got Erica trading with Pat. Erica got rid of.
We covered this one too.
What was that?
We covered this one too. Look at what time
Did
I
we?
went through that morning.
Oh,
It was right before.
well, we're doing a little recap here.
Okay.
So
We'll get Justin
Erica
Cade
gave
on.
away Tyler Lockett, Dalton Kincaid. She got Will Levis, Jalen Waddle. I think we actually, from when this trade happened too, we have like a little bit more clarity. Will Levis sucks. Terrible. So I'm glad that when we talked about him on the Dynasty and he had that like breakout 4 touchdown game, I'm like, I haven't seen enough.
Mhm.
I can't count that. Like everybody was on this Josh Jobs hype train as well. He comes to Minnesota. He doesn't take a snap with the first team. He doesn't know this guy's names, and he just like balls out. He has like a 27-point performance. Everybody's like, "Oh man, Minnesota's making the playoffs now. We're gonna have this huge push. We have our Super Bowl hopes are still alive." And I was like, I don't know, man. You guys forget seeing Josh Jobs play on Pittsburgh, on Tennessee, where he was absolutely dog shit. So it's so easy to make these like rash judgments about these quarterbacks and players that have like a single breakout game and be like, well, he looked really good, made all the right reads.
Yeah.
And then you give NFL defenses a couple weeks to kind of figure out their tendencies, and then they kind of fall back down a little bit. And so that's kind of what I feel like, what happened with Will Levis is riding a high, and it's just been a slow progression back to not being fantasy relevant, potentially not even being NFL relevant. And Jalen Waddle really hasn't done all that much this year. He had a couple games at the beginning. He does obviously have a good quarterback, but Tyreek's the man there. And so I don't really know how I feel about this trade. What are you guys' thoughts here?
Can either of you name what team Josh Dobbs played for before his little stint with the Titans?
I didn't even know he was on the Titans.
Yeah, he played 2 years ago when Ryan Tannehill got hurt.
Okay.
It was like him and Malik.
That was
Willis.
last year. That was last year. He played the end of the wasn't even
He
2
played
years
for
ago.
Pittsburgh, but I don't remember.
He's on the
when
Browns to start the year.
It was. I think he was also on the Giants at one point and then got cut. I feel like I remember that in Madden, but
It definitely has like a resurgence this year. But
yeah, he's never been a guy. So he's impressed me this year because he's done better than nothing. But yeah. Justin, what do you think about this Waddle Lockett trade?
I don't know. I feel like Pat has just unfortunately Pat was doing so good this year with making trades that benefited his team. I remember looking at his roster like a month in, and it was just stacked. Like I was like, man, Pat's got the team right here. And he was doing a good job of like making trades that were like good for his roster.
Yep.
And as the season progressed, he started kind of doing some things. I'm like, I don't know about all this. This, in my opinion, is one of those trades because he wanted Waddle so bad. And then he trades him for Lockett, who is on the decline.
Yeah.
And Kincaid's been fine, but tight end is still a wash outside of the top like 4 guys. And you're giving away a quarterback. Say what you want about Will Levis, but quarterback's quarterback. So good trade for Erica. Sorry, Pat.
Yeah, he's every week Pat's been trying to dodge the buys. So anyone that's on a buy, he's traded it for a worser player, and it catches up to you over time.
Well, he does that, and he trades for the matchups too.
Yeah.
He's a big matchup guy, which, I mean, I get it, but at some point you got to just be like, look, the talent of the player outweighs the poor matchup that they're in,
Yeah, we'll talk about this too when we go over the standings. but we'll roll through these other. I think we got 2 more trades in here.
We got 2 more trades here.
Yeah, and one of them is Ronnie's here. So what do you think about this one?
This next trade here was with Justin, and he traded with Don. Justin received Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, and he gave away Hollywood Brown and Javonte Williams. I'd love to hear like a little bit of like a behind the scenes of how this kind of trade went down, Justin, if you want to break it down for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had gotten Javonte from you, Hoppy, and he had been doing fine for me for the most part. He had a couple dud games, but he was, doing what I kind of wanted him to do. And I was like, man, if I can flip him and, upgrade a receiver or running back, that'd be great. ETN was kind of coming off some down games. And so I just texted Don, I'm like, you interested in trading ETN? He's like, yeah, send me an offer. And I think I sent him Javonte and somebody else. I think it was like Javonte and Christian Watson at the time. And then we started getting into like a big trade where DK and Jamar Chase were involved as well. And he was down to do that. He was down to do Javonte, DK, and it wasn't Brown at the time. It was another bench receiver that I had for ETN, Bigsby, and Chase.
Probably Cooks.
I think it was Cooks, yeah. And he's like, I would do that, but instead of Cooks, I want Brown. And I'm like, I don't know about this. Brown's been a bum since I traded for him too, by the way.
Yes.
So I was about to pull the trigger on it, but I was kind of nervous about Chase with his little situation going on. And I don't know. I think the DK eruption game is coming. His end of season schedule is ridiculous.
Tonight? Coming tonight?
I hope so. So then I was just like, well, what about just Javonte and Marquise for ETN and Bigsby? He's like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. All right, done deal. And my team had kind of underperformed early in the Thursday games, and pretty much my entire roster was playing on Thursday, going up against Getty. So I was like, if I can get a big game out of ETN and then don't have to rely on Herbert and Keenan Allen as much, that'd be nice. Well, that didn't happen. So, but yeah, now I got 2 top 8 running backs now.
Yeah, I actually really like this trade for you. I've never really been a big fan of Hollywood Brown. Javonte is fine, but ETN has been dominant all season. Maybe a couple dud games here and there, but overall really good. Plus, you're getting the handcuff, and I do think Tank has a lot of talent. I could definitely see them in the future. Probably not this year, maybe not even next year, but kind of going into more of like a timeshare situation where they get Bigsby a little bit more involved. But love this trade for that reason alone. Javonte's kind of turned it on a little bit more. He doesn't have as high of a ceiling as I would have hoped. He's coming off that injury from last year, so maybe he's a little bit with that, but his floor is solid. Get you close to double digits every week, but never really has like an extreme boom. So love the upside of ETN and then getting the handcuff with Bigsby. Mike, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do. And you always wonder what you should say versus not, because you don't want to help other people that are in your league. But first thing is, Tank Bigsby is not the handcuff. So he's not even out there. It's Dearness Johnson. And a notification just popped up an hour ago that says that ETN is considered day-to-day. So having him and not having the handcuff is not good. Having a fake rookie backup that hasn't been involved is good for dynasty maybe. But last week, Tank Bigsby had a 3% snap count. So he had 1 carry for 6 yards. There's your cuff. Dearness Johnson actually had some fantasy points and some production and stuff. But let's take that side away, because going into last week's, Tank did look like maybe the cuff, like he had 14% snap count. I would have assumed that. And here's the thing too: is if guys there's a difference between like who's running behind ETN and who would actually be the replacement if ETN got hurt. I would still think that Tank Bigsby would kind of catapult Dearness Johnson. Dearness would just be like a third down back. I like Tank. He just hasn't had a good year. But I like the trade for Don. I like Hollywood Brown. I've liked him all year. I had him, and then I traded him away stupidly. And he had 2 bad weeks, but last week he was decent at like 12 fantasy points. Javonte to ETN. I'd definitely rather have ETN than Javonte, but I don't think it's a huge gap between it. Now, what I will say is Justin has a lot of receivers. So for him to give up a receiver that he wasn't really in love with and he has other guys, okay, like maybe the trade just makes sense for both teams. Don's able to add a little bit of depth. Justin's able to take some of his depth at receiver to get a better running back. Cool. But yeah, I don't think Tank's the cuff. At least he's not startable. Maybe he is if ETN gets hurt. That could be the case. But right now he's not getting really any work behind him. But
I know he's not. I was already looking at this before we started doing this, that Dearness Johnson's kind of the second guy right now. But you've seen it before when this guy doesn't even like get on the field anymore, and then the starter gets hurt, and he's like, okay, well now we're gonna play this guy.
yeah,
So,
that could be the case here.
My thing too with Javonte was because I like Javonte a lot. I've liked him for the 3 seasons that he's been in the league. But he had a bad matchup last week, even though he still did well. And they just use P. Ryan and McLaughlin so much. At least with ETN, it's like he got injured last week, left the game, came back, and still got like 25 touches. I'm like, I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, you're a huge Javonte fan. I mean, rumor had it in our dynasty startup a year ago, Javonte was almost going to be picked 3 overall. Could you imagine?
He was such a stud. I had him in a redraft league 2 years ago, and the guy was he's getting like 20 carries. He's catching like 7 balls a game. Like, that's okay. ETN's cool.
That would have been a rough pick 3 overall, but
I mean,
over Mahomes and Burrow, that would have been.
After I realized like what we were kind of really doing here, like, okay.
One thing I will say, so when we played each other last week and basically like a huge playoff implication game, and I looked early in the morning and Christian Watson was in your starting lineup. So I was going into that game thinking Christian Watson was still in your lineup. And I saw that guy start to ball out. That's why I put in group chat, like Christian Watson has no family, no friends.
You were
Thanksgiving alone.
And I was like, oh, joke's on me.
I didn't even look at the lineup still. I was just so pissed at Christian Watson ruining my Thanksgiving.
I don't think it would have mattered anyway, because
it wouldn't have. It would have been close though.
I had
closer
good reason to bench Christian Watson. He got bailed out against the Chargers on his touchdown, on his 2 catches on 4 targets. He couldn't get it done against the second worst pass defense in the NFL. They're coming around on a short week. They got blown out by Detroit the last time they played, and half the Packers roster is injured. I'm like, I'm going to start Brandon Cooks, who's been fine. They play the Commanders. They're going to throw it all over him. And, it worked out in a sense. I missed out on 4 points, but
So the thing is the Cooks start was – I was like, oh, good, he's got Cooks. Cooks was great. It's not that. It was that once you made this trade, you weren't like – because Hollywood was in your lineup and the Green Bay game had already started with Watson on your bench, the question is, would you have played Watson or would you have played Rashad Bateman, who ended up playing? Like, so you could have started Watson and Cooks if you had made the trade before the game, and then you got another 20 points, which gets it more in that, sweat it out range. But
no, yeah, had I thought I was going to make
by 45 last week, it wasn't that close, but the median would have been closer. I don't know.
Yeah, had I known I was going to make this trade, Watson would have been in the lineup with Cooks.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that after I lost, I'm like, well, it's probably a wrap. But then I looked at the standings on Tuesday and I saw that I'm in 7th. I'm like, all right, well, still got a chance.
A little bitch. A little bitch.
All right, we got one more trade here. This last one is between Erica and the commish.
We can skip it.
Mr. Mike.
Nothing to see here.
nothing to see here. I think this is a pretty substantial trade.
Let's skip it.
Mike ended up receiving Zach Moss. He gave up Zeke and Dallas Goedert. This is a smash trade for Mike, in my opinion. Obviously, news of the Jonathan Taylor injury kind of surfaced, and they're talking about potentially shutting him down for the year. Zach Moss in his stead at the beginning, dominant, 20 plus carries a week, was great for fantasy. So I don't really see a world where this was good for Erica. I mean, I guess she got a little depth, but I wouldn't have taken either of these players. Zach Moss is a stud. When this happened, was the news of the Jonathan Taylor thing, did that already break?
Yeah. So I was minding my own business Tuesday morning, just working, trying to be a productive member of society. Had a good weekend, lost my dynasty matchup by 1 pass yard. Saw the other guy, it was crushed Justin in a must-win game. Stuff was going great. All my guys survived and were healthy. Like, fuck yeah, I got a great team here. Then, diehard Colts fan too. Get the news, Jonathan Taylor has a thumb injury, and it might be serious. Motherfucker. And I didn't have Moss. And I was like, well, there we go. Like, just not my year. Me and Vice were having a pity party, texting back and forth because he has him in Dynasty. And I was looking at stuff, and I saw early on that there were rumors that he was going to miss at least 1 week. Right now, the current stuff is he's going to miss. He hopes to be back in 2 to 3 weeks. He's not going to be on the team. He says he's not a candidate for the IR. The team's not bringing another running back. So it's not like, barring some kind of a setback with his rehab, barring a setback with like the Colts, just because the Colts are in playoff contention. If they lose every game, I guess. If it takes 3 weeks and there's a setback and like there's a world where he doesn't come back, but it seems very unlikely. The problem is if it's 2 weeks, these are the last 2 weeks where I just need to win to still maintain my playoff spot. And I play Nick's team that scored like 140 last week. And then I play Briggs, who's in first place. So I have really tough matchups. Meanwhile, guys like D-Bag Ronnie down here plays hapless Hoppy. So like I needed to score points, and I got buys this week. Devontae's on bye. Devontae Adams on bye this week. Next week I got Kyler and Connor who are on buys. So like this was looking really bad, and I wanted to try and make it. So once JT's back, which might be about the time that like the playoffs are there, I think Zeke has as much, if not more value than Moss when JT is healthy. And Goddard wants to play this week. I don't know if he will, but he'll be back by the time of the playoffs. Erica doesn't have a tight end, so Goddard, I would like Goddard in my lineup. I'm trying to spin it here the best I can. Great trade for me. I'm very happy about it, and I slept well last night after this trade happened. So.
Way to put a little humility on it, because this is a smash in Getty's favor. Like, I looked at her lineup. She has Ty Chandler on a bye this week. So she could have just started Zach Moss in that spot. And then she has Cade Otton, who's, like I said, outside of the top 4 guys, tight end is an absolute watch. You just hope a guy gets in the end zone. So her trading for Zeke Elliott on an awful Patriots team, and then Goddard, who maybe will play. And even if he does, how much run is he going to get? I'm just like, this is collusion. If it was Jackie instead of Erica, absolute collusion.
Yeah.
Do all you can, buddy. I'm coming for you.
I'm trying to fend you off the best I can.
Well, yeah. Speaking of, now I kind of broke down all those trades. Let's take a look at our like standings here. Kind of look at our playoff picture. We've actually got 2 clinched playoff spots. Is it Eric who's Big Catfish? Do I always screw that one up every week?
Yeah, it's Eric. You got it.
Yeah. So Eric and Briggs both, I believe, have clinched playoffs. So the top 2 teams have clinched. Then Jackie and Dave are both 15-9. Then Kirill at 5, 14-10, along with Mike, 14-10, Justin 12-12, Pat 12-12, which I think Pat he's on a 6-game losing streak. So not a great scenario looking for him. Team's kind of in shambles now. Don 11-13. I don't really think he has potential to. I mean, maybe not with the Lamar on a bye this week, but and then the bottom of the barrel, Erica 10-14, Nick 9-15, Chad 9-15, me 6-18, and Ben 6-18.
So I'm gonna
really, I think Justin and you really kind of vying for that last spot here, as we're kind of talking about earlier. I don't know what the rest of your season looks like. If you want to talk about that a little bit, what are the odds that you guys can make it here? So,
all right. So here's the cool thing. There's 2 weeks left, which means there's 4 games. I don't know as far as who plays who. Like I know my matchups, but first place. The difference between first place and sixth place is separated by 4 games. So really, like Eric could get first, but there's also a world where I could get first or Kirill could. Like Kirill, I think has the most points scored 4. Yeah, Kirill has the most points scored 4. So if he goes 4-0, Eric somehow goes 0-4. Like he could, he needs all the dominoes to fall the right way. I'd say the most likely outcome is you're looking at a 2-way battle for first there between Eric and Briggs. But then if you go all the way down to like technically Justin, obviously still battling for the playoffs. Pat still battling for the playoffs. Have a bad lineup this week. Dawn and even Erica technically, but in order for that to happen, you need me or Kirill to go 0-4, which seems unlikely considering we're projected like the 2 highest scores this week. So we'd probably get median wins. All we got to do, if we just get median wins, we can hold off Dawn and Erica. Pat's team, I don't want to talk about it. It's depressing.
Erica's out. There's no way she gets in.
It's super unlikely.
She's like 300 points down from anybody else. So.
Oh yeah, because you'd have to have more points in the tiebreaker. I didn't even think about that. Okay.
It's hard to see on the desktop site. If on the actual app, it looks much better.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my phone, and she finally cracked 1,000 points on the season.
Okay.
So
well, then I guess that trade that you did makes a little more sense because if she was battling for the last playoff spot, it's tougher. If you know you're going to be in the playoffs and whatever. Zach Moss may not have the value, but really like Justin is going to be nipping at the heels to see if he can most likely kick me or Kirill out. Kirill's got such a damn good team though. Like I think Kirill's the favorite to win it all. His team is ridiculous. Dave may not make the playoffs. Dave might fall out. Who does he play the next 2 weeks?
This week Dave plays. Where is he?
Oh, he plays Pat. Oh no, Pat. He's in. He's in. Son of a bitch.
But next week, I don't know who he plays next week.
Erica.
Yeah. So he most likely is probably going to make it in.
Really, it's me. I have 2 tough matchups. I have Nick's team, which it's better than his record indicates. Because last week Nick put up 142 points. Not too shabby. Like
he lost by like 20 still.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the matchups, but he's got a damn good team. And then I play Briggs. So, like, I was already looking at this. Realistically, what I need to do is as long as I outscore Justin both weeks, I'm good. I'm playing. Sure, I have matchups against other people, but really, I'm playing against Justin every week. 3 weeks in a row of playing against Justin. I'm so glad you could join for this podcast.
Yeah.
It's always between me and Getty.
It really is. It really is. So
it's a good rivalry going.
That last playoff spot. I don't really see a world where I just looked at Jackie's schedule too. She's got some pretty easy matchups in the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, she's got the same.
I don't really see a world where she falls out. So really, we're kind of looking. It's more about seeding, right?
Oh,
like
geez.
you were talking about, Mike, how there is a scenario where wins and losses happen and people fall and the seeding kind of swaps.
Mhm.
But really, we're looking at that last playoff spot between you and Justin.
Yeah, Jackie plays Ben, and then, or she plays Chad and then Ben. And both people are projected like 50 points right now, the 2 weeks she plays. So it could also be interesting to see top two teams get a bye. Let's see, Eric plays Ben, and then Eric plays Kirill the final week. And then I know Briggs plays me. Who's Briggs play this week? Briggs plays Kirill. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Briggs has got a battle here to hang on to the bye.
Yeah, there's
Briggs
a lot
plays me and Kirill the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's a lot of seeding. We can kind of talk about direct matchups here in just a few minutes because we're going to go through everybody's matchup. But yeah, it's like I said, it's really a battle for this 6th spot here. Seeding can go up or down depending, like we talked about Kirill having a really good team and potentially being able to shoot up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what kind of shakes out, but should we break down some of these matchups here and move forward?
So real quick, I think Eric I'll make my predictions. I think Eric will win the regular season. I think Briggs will fall out of the bye. He'll be like team 3 or 4, but back-to-back weeks of me and Kirill is not good from a probability standpoint. Hoppy, I want to know, we don't think we're going to forget about you at the bottom here. Who do you think comes in last place? That's what I want to know.
Probably Ben.
Okay.
I'm looking at a lot of these like bottom teams, and I do feel other than Nick's team, I have like one of the better teams. I think Nick's team's pretty overall solid.
Yeah.
He kind of had some bad luck with Tony Pollard and Derrick Henry earlier in the season, but they're kind of turning it back around. It does help that Dallas is scoring like 40 plus points a week. So get Tony Pollard a little bit more run. And snow is starting to fall in Vermont, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So Derrick Henry kind of turning into his Yeti form as of late. Still the RB9 on the season, which is wild because he's just not really been that great all year. But he's got a really plush matchups kind of towards the end of the season here. So I really look at Nick's team as being like one of the stronger teams. But the last couple weeks, my team's performed well. It's better than Ben's team. I think it's better than Chad's team. I think it's better than Erica's team.
Did you see who just got released?
I won't finish last.
Did you see who just got released and waived by his team?
Yeah, Zach Ertz.
Yeah, that's good for Ben's team with Trey McBride. So
I still think he's got the worst team.
it'll be interesting to see.
Devon Achane isn't even going to play, probably.
Justin, you got to pick at who's going to come in last?
I mean, I agree that I think Hoppy's team is better than the other bottom 5 teams minus Nick's team.
Not this week.
But that's the thing. Like this week, you're projected to score like 50 points. So that's, I mean, projections don't mean shit, but like that's projected to be an 0-2. And then if Ben can even like scrape a median win.
Oh, he can. He's projected even less than me.
Even less?
Hey, they haven't given him the Joe Flacco points yet. You watch your mouth, Hoppy. He's coming for that median.
Oh, okay. Well, he still has Mac Jones in the starting lineup.
But then Hoppy has to play Nick's buzzsaw of a team final week of the season.
Yeah.
And his beloved Buffalo Bills are in Kansas City. So I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I don't know. Ben's team is just a bunch of backups.
It's not great. For the record, Ben this week currently projected 57.58. Next week, and he obviously will substitute different people in. He's projected 49.93.
He's got Fields and maybe Dobbs, maybe Flacco, but yeah, Maybe Kenneth Walker comes back.
Wow.
Maybe A-Chain's there.
When I saw Hoppy
Oh,
how
maybe.
low your team was projected to score, even after you like set your lineup, the fact that there's people that are projected to score less than you is just shocking.
Yeah, and it's all
Okay, well then
I
yeah, I'll
need
give it to Ben.
It's all the teams I need to lose that play all these shit teams too. So it's gonna stay tight up until the final week. I'll guarantee you that.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I know. I've been getting a lot of offers for some of the good players on my team the last couple weeks, and I just don't see a world where any of those trades really benefit me in the long run. It's mainly like, hey, do you want to help my team potentially win a championship? And I'm like, no, I don't want to help your team.
Are you
That's
interested?
not what I'm here for. That's what Pat's here for. Pat's here to help your team.
Can I offer you a seat at the table?
Hoppy, let's do the first ever on podcast trade.
Don't
talk
you,
about this.
Could you keep not responding to me when I ask for Ayuk?
yeah, there's a reason for
And
that.
I have pieces to trade for him.
We're gonna move on. Let's talk about some matchups. Let's talk about some matchups. We can briefly talk about me and Justin's matchup as we usually do. We talk about my matchup first, then Mike's, and then we move down. But we got both people on the pod right now.
Hoppy, let's brainstorm a way to make your team more competent, and Justin can help too. Let's try and get you a W this week, okay? That's where my focus is.
Nah.
You can do your little recap first, and then we'll throw you some ideas.
Well, I'm not starting a quarterback, so that's the main thing. All of my players are on a bye week. So we'll go down my lineup really quick. Aiden O'Connell, who is on a bye, then Brian Robinson, Jaleel McLaughlin, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin, Michael Wilson, David Njoku, Kyle Pitts, and Tutu Atwell in my Superflex. Justin's got Justin Herbert, Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen. He still hasn't even put in somebody for Rashad Bateman.
That's how threatening he is of you this week.
That's where Ayuk's gonna go.
Oh, that's right. He's gonna go. My bad. Jake Ferguson, Brandon Cooks, and Brock Purdy. Again, not really much to talk about here as terms of a breakdown. There's really nothing I can do apart from making trades, which again, as I just kind of said, I don't think making a trade helps. Even if I beat Justin this week, I'm not making the playoffs. So it just makes more sense for me to, take an L, have my team as competent as it can be going into, the toilet bowl.
The only way a trade helps you, realistically speaking, and not helps me, but helps you, is if it makes your team better for the toilet bowl stretch. So, like, if you had someone that really wanted to, swap you something for that, then you could. But I think you need to play a little bit of the waiver wire roulette here. There were some QBs that went today: Zappy, Flacco, Tannehill. And you got to throw your hat in the ring if there's any new injuries this week that pop up. You got guys to drop. You can drop Shakir if you want, Mooney. I mean, these guys, Khalil Herbert's probably droppable. Hell.
Yep.
And speaking of droppable, in your starting lineup, Jaleel McLaughlin, who currently doesn't get any snaps with the team. Like, if you want the third string running back for a Russell Wilson offense, I got the guy for you. But yeah, you're better off. Let's see here. Running backs. I mean, any of these fools. Here, take the Ernest Johnson, and then Etienne will miss. This will be great. Etienne will miss. You'll have the running back. And then you can trade Ernest Johnson to Justin for Herbert and get your quarterback.
Getty is just really scrapping away at a way to keep me out of the playoffs.
Yep.
You got any thoughts on this matchup?
I didn't realize your entire team was on a bye. It is what it is. So
yeah,
I need all the wins I can get right now. So
that's exactly what I would say if I was
the
Justin.
real question.
Next matchup.
I mean, you'll obviously put somebody in for Bateman. The real question is, do you hit the median, depending on what that is? Because you're projected, even if you sub somebody in right around 100 points, there's potential. I mean, with everybody on buys, I think you'll have no problem overall. But
I don't concern myself with projecting the median and that kind of stuff. It's like put your best lineup in. Hopefully they hit it. If a lot of guys are on bye this week, so the median could be lower. But depending if other people go off, then it's going to be 115.
Yeah.
I just need a win.
There
I
are
think we'll probably put Christian Watson in for Bateman.
That's most likely what's going to happen. Yeah.
Just looking at like the lineup. So
or because I have a lot of wide receiver guys, I could trade you a few guys for Ayuk, and then it's a win-win here.
that doesn't sound good, Hoppy.
You understand that Michael Wilson's not going to play this week, right?
Hoppy's money on it.
So then I got you on the Dorch, man.
the Dorch.
We're hanging out on the Dorch. Guys, double-digit targets when Michael Wilson doesn't play.
Yeah, Hoppy, you're gonna have to drop some of your already droppable players probably as it gets closer to the weekend to attempt something. But
I wanted to wait a little bit because I don't have any fab. So me trying to pick up guys most likely wasn't gonna happen during the actual waiver period.
I put a waiver in for Bailey Zappi this morning at $9.55, a $1 waiver. And if I didn't do that, he'd still be a free agent.
Right. But I don't have
no one else that even put a $0 bid on him. So you got to just start shooting your shots early on.
What's that saying about the Patriots offense? Nobody wants any of the quarterbacks.
He's got a 50% chance of scoring more points than Aiden O'Connell on a bye, though. So
that is not
for that
true.
upside.
Did Mac Jones get negative points last week?
Shoot for that upside.
Just say there's a chance that my guy on a bye outscores the quarterback. All right, Mike, let's move into your matchup here.
What I was going to say, this week, there are 8 teams right now that are projected 90 or more points. If Erica puts someone in, I think once Erica switches hers, I don't know, because half the league hasn't set their lineups, but I think she'll be up to 90. So it's going to be a pretty easy week to hit the median with all the buys going on.
Oh, yeah. All right, Mike, we already talked about the standings, but you are playing Nick, and this will not just be a cakewalk, despite projections right now. No. Mike, you are starting Kyler Murray, Zach Moss, James Conner, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Travis Kelce, Josh Downs, and good old Patty Mahomes. Nick is starting Matt Stafford, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Nico Collins, Deontay Johnson, Calvin Ridley, Logan Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and Russell Wilson. This should be, and dare I say,
I don't know.
Matchup of the week.
I'm gonna do it.
There's one other one that is worthy of matchup of the week too. We'll get to it.
I do know that's coming up, but
I think that's the matchup of the week.
This is really serious playoff implication. The other one that I saw is definitely gonna be more about the seeding, but this is potentially you lose, then you're in a must-win scenario next week because Justin's probably gonna win.
Yeah, I know.
What I mean by that is go 2-0, beat the median. He's gonna beat me. I don't think there's a question about that. But then you're really in a must-win scenario, right? Because if Justin goes 2-0 next week again, then you get bumped down, and there's a lot of scenarios. So I think that's why I picked this as my matchup of the week. This is not a cakewalk.
This just in.
Feeling it.
Shoe in for next week. Me versus Briggs, matchup of the week. 3 weeks in a row of being matchup of the week, aka being stressful, grumpy ass me watching these fucking games. Oh, pray for my family. Yeah, I don't even know. You guys can talk about it. I was just so focused on trying to get Zach Moss the last couple of days that I haven't really focused on Nick. I just want to outscore Justin both weeks and hold on to the last spot in the playoffs. If I can beat Nick, though, huge. But his team is so good. And
how he's projected, I guess Patrick Mahomes compared to Russell Wilson, but I'm just like looking at these projections and trying to figure out how you're projected 10 total points like above him. Like
I don't
everything is
know.
like pretty even across the board. But this Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson, there's about 6 point disparity there. And then
I think
another
he should be projected to win for sure.
So-
I think his team's better than my team this week. I honestly, I think Nick has a really solid team at this point in the season. He's just, doesn't have the record to hold up. Alvin Kamara is going to be a problem this week. The Saints have no receivers, nothing.
Mhm.
And Derek Carr is there. So he's just going to check down, check down, check down, check down. Kamara is going to have one of these, when he played Jacksonville, it had 12 catches. It's going to be one of those. So, or the one where he had 13 catches for 33 yards. It might be that. But yeah, he's gonna have a good game. Deontay Johnson will be interesting to see this week. Last week was a rough week for the guy. Lost his touchdown, gave up, just quit playing football middle of the play. Nico Collins is projected 9 points, and I will take the over because that Texans offense has been awesome. Tony Pollard has great matchups. So does Derrick Henry. Does Myles Garrett play for Cleveland? If not, that's a big bump for Stafford. I don't know. His team's scary. I think my best bet is Mahomes and Kelsey having a good game against Green Bay. How's Green Bay been against, they give up a lot to quarterbacks, right?
No, they're
They
really
honestly
good.
don't. Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. Then I'm screwed.
But they also haven't played Patrick Mahomes, so
Yeah.
Then realistically, I need, because you would think Amon-Ra will be covered by, is Lattimore still healthy for the Saints? He's out, right? I think he's hurt.
I'm not 100% sure.
But Devonta Smith plays the Niners. That's not good. JSN plays Dallas. That's not good. Connor's been trash all year. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, flip a coin. I actually do see both teams hitting the median. Granted, the median's probably extra low this week, but even if it was like a normal median, the star power is there on both sides to both hit the median.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be really close. Like I said, matchup of the week for the reason of the huge playoff implications. And yeah, Mike, you might get another one next week. You got a lot of, you're in the gauntlet right now. So,
what do you think,
Justin? You got any
Justin?
thoughts on this?
Nick's team is pretty solid looking at everything.
Yeah.
He had some, it's unfortunate that his record is what it is, because I just feel like he had some bad injury luck, and Pollard and Calvin Ridley just took 2 months of the season off.
He has Mark Andrews that he lost too. Can you imagine?
That was
Mark Andrews?
the week he traded for him too. That's brutal.
You throw Andrews in here, and geez, it's just not good.
I love matchups that come down to the very last game of the week. So you got Ridley on Monday night against against a beatable Cincinnati defense. Stafford against Cleveland. That's kind of tough. I don't know the rest of the lineup though. I mean, you got Derrick Henry, Pollard. I mean, you saw what CMC did to the Seahawks. You can run all over Seattle.
I know.
Nico and Deontay are question marks to me, because it could be the Tank Dell week, and then Nico Collins chips in but doesn't have the huge game, and then Deontay Johnson just wants to be out of Pittsburgh so bad. He wants to be on a different team. Once he gave up on that fumble play, just started walking back to the sideline. I was like, yeah, this guy doesn't really want to be a Steeler anymore.
That was bad.
Plus, you can run on Arizona, so they might just give Najee and Jalen Warren the ball. Keep the ball out of Kenny Pickett's hands.
I've seen a lot of videos coming out on TikTok, on YouTube and stuff that are saying Najee Harris is a start of the week. And I'm like, that's a really bold statement to make. But
I don't know about all that.
I mean, like you said, you can run on him. So
I mean, I think Najee's a fine start, but I also think that Jalen Warren is going to get like 100 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, probably.
I do think it's going to be close. I mean, we saw what Zach Moss did to Tennessee the first time they played. Tennessee's still a tough run D. Pittsburgh's kind of tough against the run.
Oh, shit, he had 32 fantasy points. Let's go.
Downs and JSN is like, you hope something big happens, but
Oh, I'm good with Downs. Downs had 13 targets last week, and Minshew and him were just a little off. But that dude, Downs is good. I'm
not saying he's not bad, but like,
and Tennessee's a pass funnel team. Like, I'm good with Downs this week. I have no concerns about him. JSN is different. JSN is I don't know. I don't feel good about that, but
it'll be close. It's man, I probably have to lean, as much as it pains me to say it, probably have to lean a little more towards Getty. I just think he's just got
let's go
a little bit more star power, and Nick's got some guys that are pretty boomer bust. So, you got 2 weeks in a row of good Calvin Ridley.
That means he's
is it going to be the turkey? But we'll see.
No.
I hope so. For my sake, I hope so. Hope you get
argument. I'll take Nick, but it's going to be real close. This is a really exciting matchup for us and a very stressful matchup for Mr. Mike.
Yeah, just me. It's not stressful for Nick either. He's just playing spoiler. It's only stressful for me. So those are my favorite kind of matchups. And like Justin said, my favorite matchups are the ones that are decided by 3:30 on a Sunday, and you're just like, you can enjoy football for the rest.
I didn't say that.
No, that's my favorite. You like the ones that go to the end. I hate that shit. Because
I just like having players because there's just like there's that last chance you have. Like if everything's decided by like the end of the day Sunday, it's like, okay, whatever. But then it's like, ooh, I'm down a little bit. Got one guy on Monday. Let's go.
Well, and even for me, like Sunday night, I got Mahomes and Kelsey, and that can be such a large swing that it definitely will not be decided until end of day Sunday, most likely. I mean, it could be, but unlikely. So enough about that.
Right. Let's move on to the next matchup here. God, absolute barn burner of a matchup on this next one. Erica and Don. Erica's got Trevor Lawrence, Isaiah Pacheco, Joe Mixon, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, Cade Otton, Ty Chandler on a bye, and Will Levis. And Don has Lamar Jackson, who's on a bye, Javonte Williams, Keaton Mitchell, also on a bye, Jamar Chase, Hollywood Brown, Deebo Samuel, Dalton Schultz, Devin Singletary, and Kareem Hunt. I was like looking to see if he had anybody to sub in for either of those positions. He can sub in Jeff Wilson.
No, so here's what will happen. Tannehill will go be his quarterback in hopes that Levis doesn't finish the game or doesn't start, because Levis is hurt right now. I think it's likely that Levis plays, but it's not a guarantee. He looked pretty slow at practice. And then Keaton Mitchell, you just take Singletary or Hunt and you move that up into your running back spot. And then you can go ahead and throw George Pickens in the lineup. And honestly, he might want to throw Noah Brown if he plays. Maybe you start Noah Brown over a guy like Kareem Hunt. So he's got some stuff that will move. Like if Tannehill's not the starter, though,
probably get plugged in too. Just if I don't think Achan's playing.
I think really,
yeah. I think Wilson is gonna play.
Okay.
So,
well, he'd make your starting lineup. That's for damn sure. But
anybody would, and my lineup is not good right now.
He'd be your fucking weak MVP. But yeah, I still think Erica's gonna get the win. Erica seems been kind of hot lately. She's on a 4-game win streak, and her points are gonna go up too, because she's not gonna keep what's his nuts Ty Chandler there.
Yeah.
But this could be one that swings if Levis doesn't play. Erica loses Levis and Don gains Tannehill. Like, this could be one that comes down to the status of Levis. And then Goddard, We'll see if he practices today or tomorrow. If he plays, that's a bump to her lineup. I'll give Erica the slight edge, but I do think it might be decided based on if Will Levis plays or not.
Yeah, Justin, thoughts here?
Even if Tannehill plays, I don't think it's gonna be any bother to Erica. Like,
Okay.
because then it's just Tannehill versus Trevor Lawrence, and I've seen enough of Ryan Tannehill this season to know that he's not very good. Yeah, I mean,
You just want to dunk on Don's team and say how bad you think it is? I'd love to hear that.
No, I don't think
Yes,
Don
you
was
do.
Don was another one who had like he did a good job of doing the zero RB strat because he had 3 like loaded top 10 wide receivers and Mahomes at one point in the year. And then he just made a bunch of trades, and it's just like I don't know. Don's team it's fine, but I don't think he's got, no Lamar is gonna be tough this week. Marquise will probably play. Which Debo are you gonna get? Yeah.
The trades I made with Don were for these couple of weeks. So like I basically gave up Lamar, who's on a bye, and Jamar Chase, who doesn't have a quarterback now, to get Mahomes, James Conner, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a
Well,
big
you should have never
trade.
done the Mahomes trade. I thought that was even with the $35 a fab. Okay. Like
You
get
heard
why,
the story about that though,
I
right?
get why he did it.
Yeah.
So he could try to get a second QB because he lost Watson. But
Yeah.
like just keep Mahomes. Lamar had been kind of on a skid lately, and he had a bye coming up. I don't think people realize, like when I made a lot of the trades in the league this year, I had buys in mind when I made these trades. Like I was like, look, I want my buys out of the way as soon as possible. That way, when it comes down the stretch and we're fighting for these playoff spots, people are going to be scrambling, and my lineup is set it and forget it. So, the Chase thing, he got unlucky because Burrow got hurt that next week. I mean, if Burrow never gets hurt, Chase is top 3 wide receiver.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
big one was the CeeDee Lamb thing. I guess there's a conversation about it, but like, why? Why would you trade CeeDee Lamb for Justin Jefferson?
Well, me and you in that Wisconsin league, the same day I traded you Ayuk for Jefferson.
I thought that was like a joke at first. I looked at that, I'm like, this isn't real, right? And then nope, that was a real trade. I was like, smash the because the first one you offered me was like Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm good. I'll just wait it out. And then I saw Ayuk. I'm like, give me that.
I thought it made sense at the time. This was pre-Kirk Cousins injury too, not to rehash all this stuff, but yeah, it did not. And I thought Justin Jefferson with Kirk would actually like come back and play football, but he's decided, no, I'll see you guys next season. Like
it doesn't matter anyway. I can't make the playoffs in that league. That league's a joke.
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
On that league. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
yeah,
so
this should be Erica, no problem.
Yeah, I'm leaning Erica too. I don't think the Will Levis injury is really going to matter that much, and she does have enough depth. Not that it's strong depth, but there is enough that she can fill all the holes in her lineup.
Just keep that bum Quentin Johnson out of her lineup.
Oh,
I was just gonna say, I'm looking at it. I'm like, I can't believe he's projected 4.5 points.
I think if Goddard plays too, I think she should still just start Kate Otten.
Yeah.
It'd be tough for me to put Goddard back in, coming back so quick. I mean, they were talking about like he might be done for the year at first,
arm.
And now it's like 2 weeks. He's like, yeah, I can play against the Niners. I don't know. Just get smoked by Fred Wagner over the middle.
Quinn.
All right, let's move on here.
Okay. I was happy to dunk on Quentin Johnson, but yeah, we can move on.
Yeah. He's an absolute bum, dude.
Yeah, anytime we can talk about this piece of shit, I am.
Oh, man.
You will not be guest cameoing in this podcast anytime soon.
Yeah, weren't there like 2 really good receivers like picked directly after him?
Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers, those guys?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That would have really helped Herbert this year.
Yeah. He was the second wide receiver taken in the draft.
Yeah, Yeah, that's
Then
crazy.
you got Puka and Tank Dell and Rishi Rice, and all these guys are taking after him. Josh Downs.
Someone's got to be a loser in the draft.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. We have Dave playing against Pat. Dave's got Tua, Kyron Williams, David Montgomery, Chris Olave, Drake London, T. Higgins. Is T. Higgins going to actually play? I don't know. George Kittle, Najee Harris, and the absolute stud of Tim Boyle in his Superflex. He's almost better off putting somebody else in. I'll look at that lineup here in a minute. Pat, on the other hand, got Kenny Pickett, Zach Charbonnet, Jerick McKinnon, Tyler Lockett, Terry McLaurin, Christian Kirk, Hudson, Tanner Hudson. Who the fuck is and
Who is this motherfucker?
I'm seriously like I'm. He's actually been, like, serviceable the last handful of weeks, but like, man,
You don't watch any Bengals games. That's for
You see
sure.
what Pat nicknamed him too? His nickname is just Poop.
Oh boy, we have too much fun on this podcast. Generally at Pat's expense too. So,
I mean, you could go Chig or something, or I mean, whatever.
I don't even know if I would do that.
I want to say a couple of things because I think the projections here are a little misleading. So, not that Pat's team is good this week, because it's not. But Davis, Chris Olave in his lineup, and T. Higgins. Those guys are projected 20 fantasy points. I don't know if either of those guys are playing this week. So if you take that away, Dave's looking at 80 to 70. And for replacements, Shaheed, I don't think he plays. You can't. How many Jets quarterbacks do you want to start in one lineup? So Zay Flowers on bye, Josh Jacobs on bye, Trey Palmer. I've been starting that guy in Dynasty. That's not a start you want to do. So this could get a little bit uglier. And I hope so, because I just like that free median week and make it a little bit harder for Justin to catch me. But it's this matchup is the fucking dog turd matchup of the week. I think we need a soundbite for that. This is gonna be ugly.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, that's
all I got for
the
it.
big rivalry week, and it's first team to 65 wins and go.
Luke, that emotional damage soundbite, is that you saying that?
No.
Oh, it kind of sounds like you. Like if you were to like try to do that in real life, I feel like you could do that.
No, it's that it's from that video or whatever.
Okay.
I stole it off that video. But yeah, I mean, Olave, he's in concussion protocol still, right? Oh, he's limited. He'll probably play.
He's still in the protocol. And
I think Olave will play. I don't think T. Higgins will play.
Almost nobody clears concussion protocol in the first week. Almost nobody.
Yeah, I suppose you're not wrong. When did he exit the game? First half?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
I
still think Dave wins because I think Tua.
He cannot hit the median though. There's a very realistic possibility he doesn't hit the median.
These teams aren't hitting the median. That's not happening. Tua, Kyron, and your MVP of the season, Najee. That's enough to get you 40 points probably, and then Dave can beat the scraps against him. This is gonna be ugly.
Yeah.
I think I think you get your boom Tua week. Tua's boom or bust.
Yep.
So this is the big boom week for Tua. And I don't know. Kyron's going up against the Browns, who are on a bit of a slide, but their defense is still legit. So we'll see. I don't think a 35-point game's coming, but he'll probably be fine. But then Montgomery's limited. Olave is in concussion protocol. Drake London gets AJ Terrell. T. Higgins, even if he plays, it's a hammy, and he's been out for like a month and a half. So who knows what that looks like? And he's got Browning throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
So it is really like three main guys for Dave. which Kittle are you going to get? You'll probably get the good Kittle this week because you can't really run on Philly.
Maybe.
And then I'm sorry, I don't know. It's so funny that he has every Jets quarterback on his roster.
He dropped Simeon this week.
Oh
Simeon's
man,
gone. He went from 4 to 3 Jets.
just drop them all and start somebody else. Like, oh man, just go with no quarterback until Rodgers possibly comes back. But yeah, I mean, Pat's team. For all the talk about me wanting Charbonnet from you, if anything happens to Kenneth Walker, Charbs hasn't done fucking shit with that role, dude.
His matchup is so like for the rest of the season. His matchup. Look at that: Dallas, San Fran, Philly,
Yep.
Tennessee, who's good against the run.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Like the matchup it's red across the board.
But even with the volume, like he still hasn't really been able, like
Well, that's the matchup.
yeah.
That's what that is.
And when your second running back is Jerick McKinnon, we got some things to talk about. So
I mean, he's got Gus Bus, who's on the
He's
bye.
got Gus, but he's on a bye.
yeah,
The buys don't help Pat this week.
no,
They don't hurt him a ton, but they
yeah,
don't help.
it'll probably be a little closer than what the projections say. So I think the big part of it is like which one of these like questionable guys plays on Dave's team, and then can Pat's team, can some of his guys pop out with some unexpected performances. Christian Kirk could easily have a good game.
Yeah.
McLaurin, I mean, they're gonna have to throw a lot. And McLaurin's kind of been on the uptick a little bit lately. I just hope this poop guy gets some points because I think that'd be hilarious.
How do you feel about Desmond Ridder in New York playing against the Jets? You like that?
I think that I would rather watch two old people fucking than that game.
Would you rather start poop in your super flex than Desmond Ridder this
Give
week?
me two poops in the Superflex.
Can I get another Bengals tight end, please?
Okay,
And then it could be
Desmond
Jets.
Ritter. Here.
Nice, nobody. Okay, never mind.
Desmond
Yes.
Ritter against the Jets or Tim Boyle against the Falcons?
That's like I thought that Bears Vikings game was bad last week. I think this game might be arguably one of the worst games of the year.
Remember when I said Dave may not make the playoffs? Like, I don't know. This team has some holes here.
Probably what?
He better beat Pat.
Yeah,
Better
I
be
still would
Pat.
take Dave, but yeah, I would like just set my lineup and then not want to worry about it for the day and just come back and hopefully I won.
Do you think either of these teams beat the median? Keep in mind the median's going to be like 85 probably.
I would say yes, but only for Dave. The potential to beat the median. I think Dave has the potential because he has, Tua could easily score him 30 points.
Yep.
I don't think Pat's guys, unfortunately. I think if Pat beats the median, it's because some guys he didn't expect to blow up did. So,
Poppy?
I'm kind of leaning that it really depends on T. Higgins, Chris Olave. If those guys don't start, I don't think Dave hits the median. If one of them starts, I think there's a chance that he can hit the median. But and if he doesn't hit the median and he goes 1-1, there is a very realistic chance that he does not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
Justin, you got someone else you can cheer against.
that's only gonna be fun if I take you out, man.
Ah,
Or we both get in and then we meet in the finals like we usually do.
anything's possible.
all right, let's move on to the next matchup here. We have Jackie.
Oh my
And
god.
she is playing against Chad. Jackie's got Geno Smith, Andre Stevenson, Austin
Great
Eckler,
matchup.
Gallup, Mike Evans, Jahan Dotson, Taysom Hill, Raheem Mostert, and Baker Mayfield. And Chad has Jalen Hurts, and that's about it. Let's just sum his team up that way. No, but Alexander Addison, who's on a bye, AJ Dillon, Adam Thielen, Jordan Addison, who's on a bye, Gabe Davis is on a bye, Hunter Henry, KJ Osborne, who's on a bye, and Gardner Minshew.
Yes, the Vikings are on a bye this week.
Oh, don't worry. He's still got Powell on his bench, who's on a bye. Even if he subs in some of these other guys, not really looking all that great. I'm gonna take Jackie. But the question again remains is, does Jackie hit the median? With it probably being really low, but she's only projected 94, so she'll get the dub. But will she beat the median? What are your guys' thoughts?
I'd like to say something. So we've had quite a few matchups where we don't know if anyone's going to hit the median. There's some really bad teams this week. Unfortunately, I played one of the best ones for the week, motherfucker. But yeah, Jackie's starting Michael Gallup. That's not good.
She's also starting Jahan Dotson.
Well, the fact that I'm omitting him from my questionable starts is the real problem here because, yeah, you're right. At least Dotson has upside. Dotson can get you a 0, but what's Michael Gallup going to do for you? And it's kind of funny. You look at Jackie's team, like in Dynasty 2, she's oversaturated at running back and needs more wide receiver help because your 100-purpose yard Jaylen Warren is currently on her bench because she's got no place to start him. Who are you going to bench? Mostert? Eckler? Steven? Ramondre? You going to bench Eckler for him? And yet at wide receiver, she's starting both Gallup and Dotson.
Yeah, that's rough. Tough out here.
Maybe she should trade a running back for a wide receiver. Probably should. Maybe she should trade for Ayuk.
I was just going to say.
Come on, bro.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Jaylen Warren for Ayuk. Send it. There's the first on podcast trade. He's on the trade block. Yeah, baby.
I was wondering who was going to see it first.
He's doing it just to spite me.
Yes, he is.
I'm just taunting. I'm just dangling him a little bit.
I've literally been talking to Happy about Ayuk longer than we've been talking about Sharps when I had Kenny Walker.
There's the trade, though. DTR and Warren. Easy.
Yeah. Eckler's not been great this year. I mean, granted, he was hurt. He had a great week 1, hurt, came back after the bye, and has had a couple good weeks, but really, 6 points against Green Bay. And Green Bay's a run funnel defense. He should have just eaten that week. Baltimore's a tough matchup. Hopefully he can get back to form against New England here. But he just hasn't really looked like he has in the past. Did he finally hit that age cliff? I don't really know. But yeah, a lot of questionable starts. I think I agree with you. I think her best option is to maybe trade one of these running backs for a better wide receiver.
I think the ankle is a little more in play than people are giving it credit for. I have Austin Eckler in another league.
Gotcha.
And after watching him against the Packers when he had that catch and run for 30 yards, I thought the guy was running in quicksand. I was like, there was no speed whatsoever. I've never seen somebody run slower.
Mm-hmm.
So, which sucks because, Austin Eckler should be a stud, but yeah, might be that time in his career.
Yeah, this isn't the Dynasty podcast, but if it was, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Eckler.
Oh, yeah.
Man, actually, this isn't the Dynasty podcast, but there's an opportunity to dunk on Don, so I'm going to take it. If you look at his Dynasty team, it's about to get a whole lot worse next year. Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp. These are stud players, and they're about to evaporate into thin air. And then he's got question marks at quarterbacks with Kyler and Fields. So, yeah. If you know, you know. That's for you, Don. Hope you're listening.
I'll say for this one, so I've talked to Chad a couple times throughout the season about trying to make trades. And his response is always, I think I made a mistake on this trade. I got to just hold my team for a while. Or I think I screwed up in this. I got to just hold for a while. What? You have 3 quarterbacks, so trade one of them because there's plenty of teams that could use one.
To Hoppy.
right here.
Drop half these Vikings bums that don't even need to be in a starting lineup, or trade Thielen. Like, you've got guys you can move around. I've offered him like pieces before, for not his best guys, and he's still just like, I offered him like 2 starting wide receivers for Jerry Jeudy last week, and he declined that. He's like, no, and then he didn't even start Jeudy. What are you doing? So this one is an easy Jackie dub here.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I think Chad kind of falls into this category as well of the first year in the league, wants to be a part. We're a hyper competitive league. I'm in 5 fantasy leagues. This and Dynasty are the most competitive, and this is even more competitive than Dynasty just because of where we are in that landscape of a lot of people are in rebuilds. But I think you fall into this category of you don't want to feel like you're being taken advantage of. You don't want to lose the trades. And when you do lose a trade, you're like, oh, crap, I shouldn't be making a trade because somebody's trying to take advantage of a situation, And I think that's where, like, Chad feels like, oh, he lost these trades. He's been taken advantage of. He would rather just hold and not make a trade than make another bad trade, which isn't necessarily the right logic in a lot of ways. But I do think that's like kind of what's happening here of like, oh, I don't want to make the wrong move again. And then you end up with a not great team,
Here's the thing. 'Cause I've been on both sides of this. I've been in this league long enough. This is easily the most like trade happy league out there. And with trading, you're going to make trades, and then people are going to talk shit about your trades. And it's just how the league goes. Because we talk shit, we razz on everybody. You got to make a trade because you think it's the best for you. And if it doesn't work out, it is what it is. You regroup, you try to see what else you can piece together, with what you have left. But people that don't let what other people are saying about your trade get to you. Because I've had that where I've made a trade and then people are like, what the hell, man? I'm like, oh man, I guess I'm not very good at this. It's like, no, like you thought it was good for you, didn't work out. Keep it moving,
Yeah.
But not doing anything. Because Chad's in the spot where he's not going to make the playoffs, but yet his team isn't good enough to do anything in the poop bowl either. It's like, unless the Vikings go on some crazy tear, but it's just like, you can't just stand pat. Not when everybody else is making moves. You gotta do something.
Should we rename it the Tanner Hudson Bowl?
No, that's the trophy you win. The Tanner Hudson Trophy is the poop trophy.
Or it could be the Quentin Johnson Bowl, too. I'm fine with that. So.
Another
if I can change the name
Quentin
of this league, I'm doing it.
I'm
doing it.
All right, we got 2 more matchups here. We got Eric still in first place, and he's playing against the last place team.
Look at these shit matchups. My God. What happened?
So we won't have to spend too much time on this, but Eric's got Bryce Young, Dameon Pierce, Jerome Ford, Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Evan Ingram, Cortland Sutton, Sam Howell. Ben is starting Mac Jones, who is not on a bye, but is also not starting, most likely. Chuba Hubbard, Devon Achane, Tyler Boyd, Amari Cooper, Zay Jones, Trey McBride, Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, and Antonio Gibson. Any thoughts here on this match? I don't really feel like we have to spend a ton of time here.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that Ben can actually win this because Eric's team is not. Krill, I think, is the best team. Hell, Nick may have the 3rd best team or 2nd best team. Eric's team's not looking as good as it has earlier in the year. Bryce Young is flocking dog water. That guy is awful. He's getting everyone fired around him too. That's rough. Sam Howell's been great for him. But in this running back situation here, Pierce, Ford should get you maybe 10 points. Barkley, that offense sucks. Tyreek's great. Tank's really good. Cooper Kupp's another bad trade I made with Justin this year. I don't know. This team's just not quite as wow as it probably should be. Ben's team is, ugh,
Not good.
no. And he's got guys that may not play, like Demario Douglas. He's trying to get through a concussion. He probably doesn't play. Mark Cooper,
might not play either.
he's hurt. A-Chain,
He's limited.
yeah, he may not play. Like, can Joe Flacco carry you enough? I don't think that's a phrase you want to rely on. So I'm sure Eric wins. I don't know how many points his team scores.
So somebody has to hit the median.
Yeah, turns out
Gotta
someone
do
has to.
But every time we like look at this and you're like, man, I don't know if they're going to hit the median. But there's so many like really terrible teams out here. Like, who knows what the median ends up being? Could be like 82.
There's 5 teams that I feel really good will hit the median. 4 of those teams come from 2 matchups. The one we're about to talk about, my matchup, and then Justin. Those are the 5 teams that should hit the median. I don't know beyond that.
For me, okay, so you guys have played fantasy enough. You ever just look at someone's roster and you're like, how is this person doing this well the entire season?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
usually how I feel about Briggs' team.
That's how I feel about Eric's team. Like he missed Cooper Kupp for a month. Bryce Young has been bad all season. Dameon Pierce has sucked. Saquon Barkley goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back. And yet guy's in first place right now. It just good for him. I mean, fantasy football is luck based. And Tyreek and Cortland Sutton and Howell have been able to like carry him to some wins, but it's one of those you look at it on paper and you're like, I don't understand how this team has only 6 losses on the year. But
if you look on the app, and you look at the points against, I believe he has like the third least points against.
That'll help.
oh yeah, 1164.
Yeah.
That is
He still has second most points scored though, or third.
Yeah, he does have a lot of points scored. And if you do break it down, you look at his schedule, his team has never had a truly bad week other than 1 week. There's 1 week, he scored 81 points and he lost. Every other week, 106, 136, 118, 113, 117, 128, 121, 111, 136. So really, he's like hitting over 100 points every week. So even if he does lose, he's probably still like hitting the median in those weeks.
yeah.
So
That's the
the
thing.
reason.
I'm not trying to take away from his team at all. It just when I look at it, I'm like, I do not like this team. There's a couple guys that I would want: Tank Dell, Tyreek, maybe Evan Ingram. But other than that, it's like, how is this? How is this
I
getting
don't
done?
think he wins the championship. I don't think he's got the caliber team necessary when you have to play Kirill or your team or Mike's team.
Yeah,
I
I agree with that. I agree with Mike. I think Kirill's team is absolutely stacked.
Yeah.
I think Eric can win it all. We'll see. He's got really good wide receivers. Tyreek is the reason why he hits the median every week because that's 20 points. His running backs are issues, and his quarterbacks, he's got it half there. If Carolina somehow does better after firing everyone, and maybe they just play like street ball out there and score some points, I don't know. That would help his team a lot. But when you have these kind of big, like Cooper Kupp, I traded for him in a different league because I still think he should have high volume and is undervalued. He also just might be done. So I mean, Krill's got the best team. We're about to talk about that team, but yeah. And Hawkinson, he's got some big guys on bye. Saquon and Hawkinson.
Oh, I forgot he had Hawkinson too. Hawkinson's been solid.
I guess I don't want it to be like stated that I think his team is bad. That's like far from what I'm saying. I just don't think he has as good of a team as several other people in the league.
Yeah. What might be weird is it might be better for him to start a second tight end than a second quarterback when it comes time to the playoffs. That's weird.
Over Bryce, basically.
Evan Ingram over Bryce Young is probably I mean,
Could be.
I
Depends
don't
on
know.
the
That might be the correct thing. Bryce Young has sucked. He is awful. Awful.
Yeah, that one's Eric. No question.
9 points, 5 points, 8 points. And that's against Indy, Chicago, Dallas, who's good, and Tennessee. Those are 3 easy matchups for quarterbacks. And he can't even crack to get 10 points.
His rest of the season schedule is pretty cush too. So,
Like, it's, yeah. So,
All right, let's talk about the last matchup here. And Mike, when we were matchup of the weeking it earlier, was this the other matchup of the week that you were kind of talking about?
no, it was Dave and Pat.
Oh,
what?
Yeah, obviously, Hoppy. What other matchup do you think it would be?
all right. So Kirill is sitting at 14-10. Briggs 17-7. Yeah, this is another really good matchup here. Kirill's got Dak Prescott, Rashad White, Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice, Sam Laporta, Breece Hall, and Jordan Love. And he traded Briggs for Jordan Love, I believe, right?
Pat.
And Briggs traded to Pat.
Yeah, Pat traded Puka to get Jordan Love, and then Krill traded, I don't know, probably nothing to get Jordan Love from Pat. So
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett is who it was. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I rest my
All
case.
right. Briggs got CJ Stroud, DeAndre Swift, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Hopkins, Curtis Samuel, Puka Nacua, Pat Freiermuth, Jaden Reed, and Jared Goff. Yeah, this is going to be a great match.
Yep.
But I think both of these teams are making the playoffs, and that's, literally the reason I picked your matchup. It's got a little bit more, if you don't win, you might not make the playoffs kind of thing. Briggs obviously already has it locked up. I think Kirill's got a stacked team. He's got a Dak and CD stack. That's fucking almost 50 points every week. Like, that's insane. 2 guys and you're already up 50. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
What are I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
This is a good matchup of the week, honestly. I think Briggs's team comes down to his top 3 guys on his roster, his 2 running backs and CJ Stroud. If they go off, then we got ourselves a ball game. If they don't do anything, then this is going to be an absolute rinsing by Kirill. Because Kirill's team is literally, I don't think he has anybody on buys for the rest of the year that he has to worry about. No, buys are done. His team is completely set it and forget it, barring injury.
Hey, he's got Leonard Fournette by this week.
I
don't know why he's rostered.
Leonard Fournette should be on a bye the rest of his career. Yeah, I mean, like, just stacked in every area. Dak and CD, Bijan, who he's been sticking with the entire season, even though it's finally now looking like the time to have him. Laporta's been good. Breece Hall's been, the best player on a terrible team, still getting it done. AJ Brown, even though he's cooled off, he's still a stud. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Briggs's wide receivers are where, like, the questions are. If, which DeAndre Hopkins are you going to get? Curtis Samuel's been fine. Puka's been on a decline. So
he does have DJ Moore on bye. Obviously, that's irregardless for the matchup, but it does strengthen. You take Curtis Samuel out for sure.
Briggs would win if Tommy DeVito wasn't on a bye.
Tommy DeVito, baby, let's go.
No, if Stroud, Swift, and McCaffrey go off, then then I think we got something to talk about, because that could easily be like 70 points right there between 3 guys.
Yeah.
If not, hopefully Puka has a decent game. Maybe the Muth will go Luth again.
This is a really tough matchup. I am going to give the edge to Kirill, and I think it's, for me, it's not necessarily about the players, but it's about the matchups, right? Like, DeAndre Swift and Christian McCaffrey, they're playing against each other, and they have extremely tough defenses to go against.
Mm-hmm.
Right? San Francisco is a run stop. They're just a great defense, and same with Philly. Philly you can pass on, so that's what like gives me a little bit of more hope. But again, even though Christian McCaffrey can be involved in the passing game a lot, his run is going to be not necessarily shut down because it's Christian McCaffrey, but it's going to be diminished a little bit. Curtis Samuel, he's a streaming option against Miami. I mean, Sam Howell's going to huck it, and he was serviceable last week. But really, other than that, had a couple weeks earlier in the year, one against Philly, so shows you can pass against Philly.
He'd be starting for me.
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Reed's been good, but Jared Goff here again, matchup at New Orleans. Jared Goff notoriously bad on the road, playing against a good defense. So, like as a Jared Goff manager in Dynasty, like I'm not excited about that matchup. Like that's going to be a really tough matchup. So I would give the edge to Kirill, and I think it mainly has to do with like the matchups. Dak and CD are obviously you start them regardless, but Seattle's a really cushy matchup. Carolina's a terrible team, The Jets matchup with Bijan can be a little bit tough, but yeah, I just kind of look at like you got to play the matchup game on this one. Brees against Atlanta. That's my thoughts. Mike, you have any thoughts here?
Krill is the better team too. Briggs is a great team. Briggs is definitely a top 2, 3, 4 team roster wise. So, but yeah, Krill's team is the team of destiny here. So we'll see if anyone can beat it. Maybe Dak will, break another leg or something, and then Krill's team won't be so untouchable.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah,
but,
we hope for, but
I'm speaking figuratively, guys. That's the expression that's used here. Go on and break a leg. Not actually break a leg. That'd be awful. Who would ever do that?
Kirill's got this. He's got the sneaky Laporta with going against Goff too, which I always think is fun. Where it's like, hopefully Goff doesn't throw to Laporta.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess you got that with Love and Reed though too.
That's true. Oh yeah, on the flip side.
Yeah, very true.
Yep.
If Aaron Jones plays this week, do you start Aaron Jones over Jaden Reed?
Nope.
No.
Hell no. Jaden Reed's getting a tutty every game somehow. He's the Deebo Samuel of the Packers.
Okay.
But he's not practicing.
He's not practicing either.
Add it to the 20 other guys on the Packers injury report.
18
Okay.
minutes ago, not practicing, sidelined.
You got to start somebody you don't have to start someone. Briggs, take the week off.
He could realistically throw in a crazy flyer with Jameson Williams.
Just hope he gets that big play.
Yeah, you just hope he gets a touchdown. That's
why
about
he's
it.
got off too. So you got the stack.
Yeah, nice stack.
I do think Lions get right game against New Orleans, to be honest with you.
I think they beat New Orleans.
I think Dan Campbell is going to get that whole locker room so fired up, and New Orleans has nobody to throw it to. I don't care if it's in the Mercedes-Benz Dome or not.
Yeah, I do think that the Lions win, but I just think it could be more of a running situation where Jahmyr Gibbs plays really well.
I'm cool with that.
Especially if Montgomery doesn't play. I
do
think Montgomery will play, but I think it'll be like a really run-heavy focus. So yeah, I'm just like not a huge fan of Goff against New Orleans this week, but
the Goff thing on the road is a little overblown this year. His 2 worst games on the road were against the Chiefs and the Ravens. Otherwise, his other one, I mean, smashed the Chargers, smashed Tampa Bay. Green Bay was the Green Bay thing is different because Montgomery just ran all over him.
That's true.
So I know that was the story last year. His home road splits were insane, but I think it's a little overblown this year.
He's had tough road matchups for the most part.
That's what I'm saying. Baltimore and Kansas City are his worst ones.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
I don't know.
It's going to be Kirill, but like I said, if Briggs' top 3 guys play well, then we might have ourselves a ball game.
This could be a championship preview.
They both hit the median, right? We're all in agreement.
You know how many teams we talked about that we don't know if they're going to score 60 points this week? Yeah, these guys will hit the median. The half their lineup could hit the median.
Yeah, they got to hit the median. If you're projected 100 points and you can't hit the median, that's tough.
All right. That's it. That's all the matchups. We did it.
We did.
This was fun.
Oh boy. I always have a really great time, and we're chugging along. 2 weeks left, boys. Playoffs. How are we feeling? Just before we sign out. Mike?
Yeah.
I know Mike's probably stressing a little bit.
The truth is I think I'd rather be in my spot than in Justin's spot, or at least up the game. But
come on, I get Luke and Don down here. Let's go.
All right, boys.
We'll see.
Just wait for that Ayuk trade to go through, and then we'll.
Next week we're gonna do a little bit of a dynasty podcast. I think maybe we'll see what's happening, but we got a lot to talk about. We'll be doing a little playoff preview.
Primer.
Brandon Ayuk on the block. Come and get him.
Respond to my text at least.
All right, we'll see you next week, guys. Yeah, bye.
Later.